people. And as a matter of fact, at times I feel very guilty that I have the safety and security outside and I'm not part of what they're having to live with or go through.
رغم طبعا اني انا معرضة للخطر وحتى تعرضت لخطر بشكل شخصي لما كنت بتركيا بالحدث اللي حكيت لكم عنه. لحقوني شبيحة بقلب الاوتيل اللي كنت متواجدة فيه، ما عنا لهذا الشيء، ويعني بعتقد اكيد نحن معرضين باي وقت، بس هذا الشيء ولا شيء قدام لاهلنا بالداخل.
Yes, I did face some dangers personally. As I mentioned, the event that I coordinated and worked to organize when I was in Turkey, members of the Shabiha or the regime, let's put it between quote unquote, they followed me to the hotel where I am, and as a matter of fact, there's no way to compare between what I'm facing or some of those intimidation tactics and what people are facing, or my people and my families are facing within Syria.
أنا بخجل إني عايشة بأمان.
I feel ashamed that I live in security.
What can American journalists do to help?
الحقيقة الصحفيين الأمريكان والأجانب بشكل عام لديهم تغطيات خاصة في الثورة السورية، لا ينقلون مجمل الأحداث بطبيعة الأمر.
Frankly, the foreign correspondents and foreign journalists, and that includes the Americans, they cover the Syrian situation in general. Like they don't go in depth into their coverage or the stories they publish.
وهم طواقين لتغطية أخبار حساسة وقد تكون ضئيلة لكنها تجاريا مربحة لهم أو تلفت الانتباه.
They lean to cover certain situations that might be sensitive, sensational, that might not be at the end of the day that important, but they might find it profitable, or maybe there's an audience, they like these kind of stories, so it's going to be commercially viable for them.
على سبيل المثال يتركون جميع النواحي المشرقة في المناطق المحررة من تنظيم السير إلى الخدمات التي رغم الصعوبات والحياة، وينتقلون إلى المواضيع المظلمة أحيانا في بعض الأحيان لتغطيتها ولإثارتها عالميا.
For example, they live those sunny situations or stories that are positive stories, especially that when it comes to the liberated areas, people control the traffic, they try to organize themselves, provide basic services in spite of the difficulties they're facing. And on the other side, they choose stories that are depressing, sad, to cover.
نحن نتمنى من الصحفيين الأمريكان أن يركزوا على معاناة الشعب السوري، وفي نفس الوقت أن يركزوا على حقيقة الوضع فيما يجري في المناطق المحررة، وعلى طبيعة الإجرام الكبير الذي يقوم به النظام، وعلى طبيعة التدمير، وعلى طبيعة القتل، وعلى حالات المأساوية التي يتعرض لها الشعب السوري بشكل عام وليس موجه لأي طائفة أو أي مكان.
For example, the American media can not, I wouldn't say that they have to ignore the suffering of the Syrian people, but they should cover the realities that's happening, especially when it comes to the liberated areas. Of course, it is important to talk about the crimes of the regime, the killing, the tragic situation people are living under, but not to target a sect, a group, or one segment of the society, simply to be the main coverage for their news.
Advice would you give to American journalists who are wanting to cover what's happening in Syria in terms of, content, which you just mentioned that they should be covering, but also in terms of how to handle themselves when they're in Syria?